At Fort Greely, Alaska, the military command center jolts into action as a sudden red alert flashes across every screen. A ballistic launch has been detected from somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. When the operators attempt to trace its origin, a priority message from Stratcom interrupts their feed. Their DSP satellites had missed the launch. SBX radar system couldn't pick who launched it. Inside the White House Situation Room, a high-level video conference is immediately initiated by Olivia, connecting top military commanders nationwide. At first, the consensus is cautious, perhaps just another North Korean test launch. But moments later, General Barry, Stratcom's chief, receives an update that chills the room. Velocity, 6 kilometers per second. Estimated impact on U.S. soil in 18 minutes 38 seconds. The Situation Room erupts into chaos. Olivia and Eli tries relay data to the POTUS through headsets, their voices trembling. Back in Alaska, Colonel Gonzalez receives the direct order to intercept the projectile. The base's DEFCON level surges from 4 to 2, the highest state of alert ever reached. Amid the rising panic, Holland, a senior supervisor, tries to maintain control, insisting it could still be a commercial satellite launch. Maybe a billionaire forgot to file paperwork. But calls to Russia and China reveal they're equally confused, both nations scrambling to locate the source. On the central live impact projections screen, potential targets flicker: Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati, each with a 26.67% chance of impact. Moments later, Chicago appears on the list, its probability climbing. The time to impact counter drops below 16 minutes. At Fort Greely, Major Nolan slams the Activate Launch button. A ground-based interceptor, GBI, missile erupts from its silo in a storm of fire and smoke, streaking toward the sky. Meanwhile, at FEMA headquarters, Maya is casually browsing apartment listings when her phone blares with a jolt alert. She reads it, her face drains of color. Bursting into the command center, she demands answers from Olivia, who offers none. The evacuation order has already been issued for key personnel. Secret Service agents rush into the Situation Room to evacuate Holland. In a tense, emotional exchange, he places Olivia in command before being escorted out. The digital timer now reads 9:58. On screen, the interceptor's exo-atmospheric kill vehicle, EKV, detaches, racing toward its target. Hope surges, then collapses. The screen flashes. First EKV failed to intercept. All eyes turn to the second EKV, their final chance. The silence in the room is suffocating as it nears impact. Then, negative impact. The intercept has failed. The missile is still inbound. The DEFCON display blinks to DEFCON, 1 the most dangerous status. The live impact projection screen updates to a horrifying certainty. The nuclear missile is hitting Chicago, the casualty is 10 millions. With probability of impact, 100%. At Fort Greely, the soldiers are shattered. Nolan collapses in tears. Gonzalez walks out of the control room, dropping to his knees in disbelief. Private Buck, voice shaking, calls his mother on his personal phone. "I love you," he says, smiling through tears. With under 5 minutes remaining, scenes of normal life unfold across Washington, D.C. School children laughing outside the White House, tourists taking photos, unaware of the countdown above their heads. At FEMA, Maya and her team stare helplessly at the screens. There's no time to save anyone. Eli retrieves his phone from a locker, scrolling through photos of his girlfriend he planned to propose to tonight. In the press briefing room, armed tactical officers burst in, ordering an immediate evacuation. Reporters scatter, confused and terrified. Even the press secretary has no answers. Time to impact now is only 3 minutes 45 seconds. Eli returns to his station beside Olivia, handing her the phone. She calls Sam, her husband, who's just buckled their son Liam into his car seat at the doctor's office. Her voice trembles as she says, "Drive west, as far from the city as you can, now." She hangs up, tears streaming as the Situation Room falls into a heavy silence. The final countdown flashes across the main screen. Now only 59 seconds remaining. Now we see the scenes from Stratcom perspective before the missile launch. General Brady, the head of Stratcom, United States Strategic Command, arrives at the C-2F Command and Control Facility at Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska. In a very different place, a sunny field holds a Battle of Gettysburg 162nd reenactment. People watch as men in Civil War uniforms fire cannons and muskets. Anna Park is there, watching with her son. Inside Stratcom, we see a huge, dark, circular command center, the home of America's nuclear forces. The alert level is COGCON, for the lowest readiness level. A civilian analyst named Tony is briefing the staff when General Brady and his second-in-command, General Kyle, take their seats. The National Security Conference Call, which the story showed earlier from the Situation Room perspective. In Washington, D.C., a young woman with curly hair named Elena talks on the phone from the back of a car. She speaks warmly with Jake Barrington, the Deputy National Security Advisor, who is next to her. He takes her hand. He gets out of the car, puts in earbuds, and starts jogging toward the White House. He does not know how urgent things are. Back at Stratcom, the video conference is live. General Brady listens as a launch alert comes in. At first, he assumes it's a test and says, "Is this another fucking yo-yo?" Meaning another test launch. But an aide tells him the missile is real. They watch the Situation Room feed and are told the missile intercept failed. Negative impact. In short order, they learn the ground-based interceptor, GBI, attempt failed twice in a row. The alert level rises, and the country goes to DEFCON 1, the highest state of readiness. In a nearby Air Force locker room, pilots relax. Captain Reed looks at a photo of a woman on his phone. Suddenly, an alarm sounds and red lights flash. The pilots, including Reed, jump up, put on flight gear, and race to their aircraft. Jake Barrington is running through the White House, still on the phone, trying to join the secure conference. The president's video feed in the call is black. The Secretary of Defense, Baker, joins from his home office and becomes the highest-ranking official on the line. He takes command. They confirm the impact location, Chicago. Baker's daughter lives there. Jake reports that the probability the GBI interceptors would work was only 61%. Baker explodes in anger about spending $50 billion for a system that gave odds like a coin flip. Captain Reed and his co-pilot put on oxygen masks and rush to their B-2 stealth bomber. Jake finally bursts into the Presidential Emergency Operations Center, POC, the secure bunker, to join Holland and the essential staff. At the same time, pregnant Elena runs through government halls as an evacuation starts. She reaches the PEOC entrance, but a Secret Service agent denies her entry. The blast-proof door seals, and she is left stranded in the hallway. They call Anna Park, who is the National Intelligence Officer for North Korea. Jake asks whether North Korea could do this. Anna says North Korea actually tried something like this 2 years ago and suggests they might launch missiles to try to blackmail the U.S. for more aid. She asks about the launch location. The team says the DSP satellite did not detect the launch. That suggests either an insider or someone with authority disabled the DSP so the missile would not show up. But they have no evidence. The B-2, flown by Captain Reed, takes off. General Brady, grim-faced, tells the conference that Russia, China, Iran, and Pakistan are mobilizing forces. He worries they could be trying to take advantage of the U.S. being under attack, or that this incident is part of a coordinated assault. He argues for immediate retaliation, saying they should attack everyone now because Chicago is already lost. He asks how much they can risk. Holland and Jake get the Russian foreign minister on the line. The minister is furious that U.S. bombers are airborne. Jake desperately tries to calm him, saying the flights are precautionary. The minister insists Russia is not the attacker and warns the U.S. not to use the situation as an excuse to wipe Russia out. Jake asks Russia to pull back their SSBNs, nuclear ballistic missile submarines. The minister replies that if they took that step, U.S. would destroy those submarines. Jake promises the U.S. will not fly bombers into Russian airspace. The minister says, "Don't blame us if China is responsible." Jake hesitates, then he tells there may be some violence. Minister says he will talk to president. The calls ends there. In the B-2 bomber, Captain Reed and his co-pilot receive their authenticated launch orders. Jake tells the everyone about talk with Russian minister that if US back down, Russian also will, but chance of happening is extremely low. Now, with 2 minutes remaining, they only have two options, suicide or surrender. President is not sure about the decision. The clock runs down, 2 minutes remain. The country faces a terrible choice, either suicide or surrender. In the B-2, Captain Reed and his co-pilot receive authenticated launch orders to be ready. On the military side, a 341st Missile Wing silo in Montana prepares to launch. The USS Nevada, a submarine somewhere in the Pacific, receives launch orders. Two officers prepare to turn their launch keys. The president recites the nuclear launch code, and General Brady asks last permission, and screen goes blank. Now the scene shifts White House perspective. At the Oval Office, a suspicious Navy officer is present. President Evans is on the phone, laughing with his wife, Sheila, who is in Laikipia, Kenya, speaking over a satellite phone with park rangers around her. They have a light, loving talk about her trip and their children. An aide brings the president his coffee and the daily briefing. After talking to his wife, President Evans goes to attend a kids' basketball game. The same suspicious Navy officer from earlier is also there, quietly watching him. At the Pentagon, General Baker is in his office when he gets a call from the control center about an incoming missile. He joins the same emergency conference call we saw earlier in the story. Meanwhile, the Secret Service suddenly receives orders to evacuate the president, and agents bursts in middle of the game and takes president with them. The president, confused, asks what's happening, but the agent insists there is no time. They rush him down a secure hallway toward the car. During this time, Baker updates the president about the situation. There are only 15 minutes left before the missile hits. Baker tries to call his daughter in Chicago, but she doesn't answer. As the president is being moved to safety, the missile defense system launches another EKV, Exo-Atmospheric Kill Vehicle Interceptor, but once again, it fails to hit the target. The suspicious Navy officer then brings the nuclear book, a briefcase containing instructions for nuclear retaliation. Heartbroken, Baker finally reaches his daughter and speaks to her one last time before hanging up in tears. The president overhears General Brady demanding authorization for a retaliatory nuclear strike. The president and the Navy officer board a helicopter. The officer, whose name is John, explains how they could strike North Korea and other nations in response, but the president stops him. He says he doesn't want to attack anyone because too many innocent lives would be lost. He decides to wait, hoping that maybe the missile was launched by mistake and nothing more will happen. Overwhelmed with grief and guilt, Baker commits suicide. The president listens as Jake reports on the Russian president's response. America now faces only two options: surrender or die. Important officials rush toward the nuclear bunker. Elsewhere, Gonzalez kneels down, waiting for the final moments as the countdown continues. The president makes a final call to his wife. They speak softly about the nuclear strike and say their goodbyes. With just 20 seconds left, the president recites the nuclear launch codes. General Brady asks him to give final permission to launch America's retaliatory attack, and then the screen suddenly goes black. That's where the movie ends. We don't know exactly what happens next. Maybe the missile hits and kills everyone, or maybe some of the officials survive in the nuclear bunker. The story clearly ends on a cliffhanger, setting up a possible sequel in future. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.